Hello guys, it's Maddie Simish and welcome to another video where today I am building a tiny starter farm cottage. So I did mention it in my last video, which was my first build with the new expansion pack Cottage Living, that I originally wanted to make my first build with that pack a starter home, but I just got so excited using all the items that I couldn't do it, and it was a little bit more expensive than a starter home. But I said that my next build would be a tiny starter, and that is exactly what this is. You can see that I started off with a box which was exactly 100 tiles, which is the maximum that you can have for it to qualify as a tiny home. I think it's technically a small home, it's like the third tier. But I do end up making it a lot smaller. You will see throughout this video I have to keep adjusting the shape because you may be able to tell that starter homes are something that I never do. I mean, I always talk about how I like challenges on this channel, but that's just too much of a challenge for me. It's because I really like building and I love having that kind of freedom of expression when I build. I love sort of playing around with different styles and decorations and making things look really cozy and lived in. And obviously when you have budget restraints, you can't really do that because, you know, you need to make sure that it's under a certain amount of money. So you can't put too many things in, you can't make the house too big. So usually it's like a bit too much of a restriction for me, but I really wanted to try it because it is good to go out of your comfort zone sometimes. So yeah, you can tell I'm not really used to it though because the house was just way too big and I needed to save some money. So I end up reducing almost everything, which I will talk about throughout the video, but just on the exterior, I use this, I wanted to use as much as possible from the new pack. So this brick and a lot of the, well, I think all of the windows and the doors are from the Cottage Living pack, which is so cute. I'm still having so much fun playing it and building with it. I did have a problem with those roof pieces, the ones that have the animals on top of them. It didn't center. So you might see that it is slightly off center, but when I went back the next day to finish off the build, I was able to place them properly. So I don't know why that was, but it fixed itself. But yeah, that was a little bit strange, but I'm just putting a pond on the side here as well. I love the pond tool. I think it's just really cute. And I think it makes a really nice addition to homes. And I think you could do some really creative stuff. At the moment, I'm just kind of putting it to the side of my houses, but I know you can do moats and things like that. So I think that's really cool, and I definitely look forward to playing with that a bit more. But I finally reinstalled my mods after quite a few updates that we've had, because of course you have to take out your mods before you update your game, and I was waiting for them to all be reinstalled. So I now have the Better Build By mod back installed, so I could have a proper look at the debug catalogue. I mentioned in my last build that I really struggle with the catalogue. It's so messy, nothing is in particular order. So when I did the landscaping of my last build, I couldn't really find a lot of things. Whereas with this Better Build By mod from Twisted Mexi, everything is sorted into its categories. So with the trees, for example, they are all kind of in the tree category. And a lot of the debug landscaping is free, which is why it's perfect when you are building a starter home. And actually, I'm not sure why, but there is a lot of things that we got in this new expansion pack that are also in the debug catalogue. Like a lot of the decorations, the lights and things like that. I think some things that are both in the debug catalogue and in the regular catalogue, but in the debug catalogue they're free. I think they don't actually function. I could be wrong, but I feel like lights and stuff that are in the debug catalogue don't work as well as regular ones. And I think some of them also had a name that suggested they were more decorative than functional. But a lot of the decorations I did actually use from the debug catalogue just to add a few little touches, little flowers, and there's a little kind of wheelbarrow thing with plants on it. There was a free version of that which I used just to kind of make everything feel a little bit more just cottagey and cute. And I wanted to get as many plants as I could outside and just make it feel really alive. This is the little garden area where you can plant oversized crops. I do make this significantly smaller to save a little bit of room, but I've just got 4 little patches there, and I wish we had a few more options for oversized crops. I feel like that's a little bit repetitive. In my own gameplay, I have I think there's 5, there's 5 different crops that you can plant, so I have 5 patches to plant things. And yeah, once you plant them, you help them grow, water them, and then you harvest them, and then you basically just do that over again. So I wish there was a few more options, but it is still quite a fun addition. And then because it is supposed to be like a farm cottage, I also add a shed where you can put a cow or a llama, and then also a chicken coop as well. And then I also found a few cool like tractors and vans and things in the debug catalogue. So I add a little van, I think it's the delivery van, at the front, and then the tractor at the back later on. Obviously not functional, but again, I think it does just add like a really nice look. And then also, speaking of like cozy and like really aesthetic looking, really like nice, I love the addition of trees with lights in this pack. And there's a few different trees with lights already on them, and then you can also see this tree here comes with like a little light accessory you can attach to it, and I just think it's so cute. And here I am building a kind of little patio area with some sofas. Again, I do end up deleting it. There's a lot of things I changed throughout this build, but it wasn't entirely necessary. And again, you can just tell that I do not usually build starter homes, because you should really just stick to the essentials, and I did not do that. But like I say, I love making things just look really nice and lived in, and yeah, I love like building builds for the look of them and making them look nice, not just functional. So that's why I do find this a little bit of a challenge, and I did kind of try to include as many like paintings and plants as I possibly could with the budget, just to make things look really cool. But yeah, the house is definitely a lot bigger than it needed to be. I ended up with this huge like corridor leading up to the bathroom, which just like wasn't necessary. You can see there's the entranceway here, and then next to it is a little room that I was planning to be a computer room. Again, completely underestimating or overestimating the challenge. Yeah, underestimating the challenge and overestimating how much, I don't know, I get confused between the two, but basically I thought I would end up with a lot more money than I actually had at the end. So yeah, I had to reduce quite a few things. The bedroom I keep super simple. In the end, there is just a bed, a wardrobe, and a mirror. I do experiment with a few things. I have a bedside table, I have a clock, but then I end up changing that out because the clock is actually quite expensive. It's like over 1,000 simoleons, and Sims don't actually ever need to tell the time. It is purely just, for aesthetic. So I couldn't afford to do that. So yeah, I'm just making the corridor here a little bit smaller again to save some money. I do end up having a like separate dining table, a kitchen, and then the living room. I did splash out a little bit. You will see a little bit later on, but I do really like how everything turned out. Like I say, I did use a lot of stuff from the new pack as well. So you can see the dining table there. The dining chairs, I'm not sure what pack they come with or if they're base game. They're not from this particular pack, but I thought they suited they suited the style really well. And also they were very cheap, which is most important. But yeah, moving on to the kitchen, it starts off quite big and it ends up quite small. And I really like what I started to do here with the counters, and then those kind of rounded counters just kind of off of the main ones where you could like sit, and it's like a little bit of an island attached to the regular counters, if that makes sense. But again, a bit too ambitious for the budget that I had. So I end up keeping some of the counters, but having to delete most of them. I'm just sort of changing up the garden area there, but I do make it even smaller later. I had to use some really cheap appliances and also minimal decorations, but I love building kitchens. And I think when kitchens look really like cozy and homely and lived in, it just makes a build feel so much better. So at the end, when I did have a little bit of spare money, most of it did get spent on like decorating the kitchen. Right at the end, I did find enough money to add some overhead cabinets as well. But yeah, just adding a sink because I realized I didn't have one in the kitchen. And I think that's basically the structure of the kitchen. I think it looks really cute. It's a shape I don't usually do, but yeah, you got the dining table there, and then this is where I splashed out because that fireplace that I put in the living room is not cheap by any means. But I really like it, and I think it just adds a lot to the vibe. So I wanted to keep it, and then here I am just making that little garden area a bit smaller because, let's say, I had this huge corridor leading up to this quite like decent sized bathroom, and yeah, again, it did not work for what I was trying to do, building a starter home. So I had to reduce it. So I think it, still is like quite a good size. I was just way too ambitious and excited when I started building, but yeah, just getting a mini living room here. This is an eco lifestyle sofa. Again, it's one of the cheapest, and then also the little side table as well. I couldn't afford any TVs, but I do have this eco lifestyle one, the kind of old style TV. I really like that. And then I'm just decorating up the fireplace because I just thought it looked a bit better and also a bit more like realistic to have quite a few like paintings and lamps and things like that on there. So yeah, like I say, I did really want to just decorate it as much as I possibly could, but it was a little bit of a struggle. So here I am just going through the debug catalogue to look at some kind of decorations that I can add. And this is what I'm talking about with the cottage living items that actually are free. So that shelf, for example, you can buy it for simoleons, but it is also in the debug catalogue for free. And it's a shelf, so it doesn't really function to do much. So you might as well just get the debug one. So that was super useful. And yeah, I found this really cute, like little plant pot. And then also this little sign that I was able to kind of use as like, I imagine it's kind of like a chalkboard or something like that, where they put maybe their shopping lists or like their meal plans for the rest of the week. And then you've got the little entranceway there. I do just end up adding some umbrellas and a coat because, again, I just wanted it to make it feel like a family home. I imagine that 2 Sims live here because there is a double bed, but I think you could also just have 1 Sim as well. Yeah, this is the entranceway, and now here I am finally being able to do up the kitchen a little bit more with the tiny amount of simoleons that I had left. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!